Hey everybody. Today I want to talk about one of my favorite topics, space industry. So I'm a big sci-fi fan, and as a sci-fi fan, and as a fan of the Earth's environment, I would like to see heavy industry moving up into space. As far away from Earth as possible, maybe up in the asteroid belt, right? There's tons of raw materials up there. There's no gravity. Um, Shipping is easy. Just give something a shove and it just keeps going for free forever until you catch it and stop it. It's fantastic. And we are starting to enter the age of space industry. Super exciting. I wrote an article recently for Network World, still waiting for it to post. If I remember, I'll share the link. All about the companies that are building data centers in space. So, the idea for a data center in space is that you have a computer on a satellite and you have a bunch of solar panels on one side of it. And in the shade on the other side, you've got a bunch of radiator panels. And so you have energy coming in, it's powering the computer. The computer does its stuff. The computer heats up because chips get hot when they're used. And then that energy is dissipated into space via radiation. So normally, energy is dissipated in data centers through cooling liquids or through fans by moving air around. There's no air in space to take the heat away. So you have the heat just radiating off of panels. Like when you have every hot body radiates infrared radiation, so it's kind of a it's like a light. You can see it with infrared glasses, like the night vision glasses. They pick up the heat signatures. And that's because heat can be radiated in the form of electromagnetic radiation, and that's how space computers, satellites do it. So the energy comes in from solar panels, gets used, and excess heat gets radiated out. So you have free energy coming in on one side, free cooling going out on the other side. And there are some issues with this. For example, um, how do you protect the chips from solar rays? Because you have the space radiation, right? And how do you fix things if things go wrong? So, for the most part, these issues are solved issues because we already have a ton of computers up in space. All those satellites up there, they've got computers in them. The ISS has a bunch of computers on it. Computers do just fine up in space. Tons of solar panels up there. We know how to do this. The question is, are we ready to scale it up? And according to Google, we're within a couple of years of the launch costs getting low enough to practically move data centers into space. And so I love hearing that. Um, and because people are upset about data centers going up on Earth, they take up space, they take up power. The older ones use a lot of liquid, they waste water. Um, a lot of those concerns are not really significant compared to the other ways we waste energy and waste water. And considering what we get out of AI, like potentially curing cancer, that kind of stuff, I personally think it's a more than worthwhile trade. But putting the data centers up in space would be even better. And once you have things happening in space, once you have a space based economy, then you start needing space-based manufacturing and you start needing space-based mining and extraction and space-based power networks and all the other stuff. And it is all starting. So, for example, there is now a company called SpaceForge that has demonstrations. They've already tried this out to have little space-based factories to produce materials for quantum computers, AI data centers, and defense infrastructure. And these are ultra high quality crystals used in manufacture of semiconductors. And apparently you can make them uh, at a hugely higher levels of quality, hundreds of thousands of times higher in purity compared to what you can make on Earth. And so these things are super valuable, and it makes economic sense to manufacture them in space and ship them down to Earth. And it's going to make even more economic sense to manufacture them in space and then use them right there in space. We also have a bunch of companies setting up space-based power systems. And there's two ways that space-based power can work. One is that you're putting up huge solar panels up in space that have access to the sun 24/7, no wind, no rain, no clouds to get in the way, right? The uh, perfect environment for solar panels. And then they beam this solar power either to other satellites to power them, or they beam it down to Earth as a source of clean energy. And all of these things have been tested and they are working in a safe way. So that's pretty awesome. They beam them down to solar panels, or they beam them down to uh, other solar panels on other satellites. And it's just a slightly more condensed beam than you would get from the sun. So very awesome. And I love the sound of that. The more of this stuff leaves the planet, the better for the planet. And then, so today, Elon Musk, oh no, Wednesday, Elon Musk says that he's going to put industry on the moon. He's given up on the Mars thing. I'm rolling my eyes. Yeah. So he's given up on the Mars ideas and he wants to go to the moon, which is closer. And he's going to put factories up on the moon with a moon supply chain and everything. And so the moon does have very low gravity, so it's easier to ship stuff up and down off the moon. And it does have stuff on the moon. And if you put something on the moon and it breaks, it's a lot easier to go there and fix it. And remote operation is a lot easier when something's on the moon, where it's, you get a tiny little delay in communication versus when something's on Mars, where you can get quite a significant delay in communication. So that's also awesome. I love the sound of putting stuff on the moon. I personally think that it'd be really cool if we used all this stuff to build space habitats. So that's my personal favorite thing, is space habitats. So I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, we're entering that era right now. Will Elon Musk actually do it? The guy's crazy. I mean, he gets crazy ideas, and sometimes they work. SpaceX worked, and it should not have worked, but it worked. And sometimes he has crazy ideas that don't work, and there seems to be no rhyme or reason or ability to predict which category something falls into. But he certainly has a lot of money to invest in it. So whether or not it works, it could very definitely jumpstart things. So for example, Tesla really helped jumpstart the electric car industry. And yeah, it's kind of imploded since, but it did kind of put electric cars on the map. So that did happen. Elon was great at marketing electric cars. He didn't invent the company. He didn't invent the electric car. He just bought into it. He wasn't the original founder, but he really marketed the heck out of it. So, you have to give the guy credit for that. So if he's able to do that with moon infrastructure, sure, why not? And he is planning to put up a lot of satellites up into space, and of course data centers, and Google's also planning to put data centers in space, and Amazon's talking about it, and everybody else. So definitely a direction that things are moving into, because free energy and free cooling And it's just a great place to have a data center. And I think it's like really, really cool in terms of the whole we're living in the future kind of part of it, and also in the more stuff we can get out of our environment, the better part of it. So I'm this is like one thing I can get behind that Elon Musk is doing. So yeah, so keep an eye out for that. It is actually real. It is actually happening. There's a bunch of companies doing this. It's not just Elon. There are already demonstrations of it working. So all the pilot projects have been successful and they're now at a stage of scaling up and industrializing. People are waiting for launch costs to drop, and launch costs have been dropping precipitously. And China's already putting data centers up there. So they're actually ahead of us on this. So we have to catch up. So yeah, a lot of fun. I'm enjoying seeing that. I love covering this. It's it's just a fun thing about my job as a tech journalist is I get to write about this stuff and talk to the people who are doing it. So yeah, I enjoy that very, very much. And I will be bringing you updates as I hear about it. All right. I'm going to say goodnight and see you guys very, very soon. I'll post some links in the description box down below too. Bye, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day.